Building resiliency is not about avoiding setbacks. It's about realizing that they're part of the process and they don't have to knock us off our feet forever. In today's episode, I thought it was really important that I address the fact that setbacks are going to happen. We can build this amazing vision and then life, but we don't have to succumb to everything that happens to us. We get to change our perspective. We get to lean into it. We get to see what's possible even when we get knocked down. Let's do this. Hey, and welcome to the Full Weight of Joy podcast, the podcast for women who are done stressing about the weight of the world, of expectations and settling for status quo, and ready to step into the full weight of joy. Joy in the journey, whether up or down, joy through the life's challenges, and joy in loving your life right where you are, even though sometimes we feel like chucking it all and moving to Bali. It's for women who are ready to step into who God called them to be. He chose you to be in this world. He created you for a specific purpose. God called us to be the light on a hill, and by embracing who you are and whose you are, you can stand on that hill and shine. The best part, when you're standing next to another woman who's also on the journey, the world gets brighter. My name is Tammy. I'm your host and a master certified life coach and a trained therapist. For over a decade, I've been helping women do just that. Step into who they're called to be and shine. Are you ready, friend, to start your journey? Let's do this. Hey, welcome back to the podcast. We're in our last week of October. So this is the last couple of episodes about vision. And I hope that you have enjoyed it as much as I have. It has stretched me to figure out, okay, how can I talk about vision for, I think there's like 9 episodes total about vision. And not only that is the Vision Lab, which of course starts in just a couple of days, and it's not too late to sign up for it. If you have not signed up for the Vision Lab, please do. Please consider it, just because you are worth it. You're worth having a vision. You're worth having a clear picture of what you want and what impact you want to make in this world. So we're going to dive into like just different areas of vision. We'll create a vision board as well, but more intentionally, we're going to look at who are you, what do you value, and what do you want your life to look like, and what do you want your life to mean? And so that is the goal for the Vision Lab. So if you haven't signed up for it yet, please do that. The link is in the show notes. It is go.tammymurraycoaching.com/Vision Lab. Super easy. So join me there. But today we're going to go into the power of resilience. So when we know that the world is never easy. Like life happens, we will be going along strong, we will be going along well, and then bam, something comes out of nowhere, whether it's an illness or and also the crazy thing is setbacks challenges don't always have to be something negative either. Sometimes something really great happens and you have to shift the way your life is going. You have to switch the path. You have to change the course. And that's what I wanted to talk about today is how do we navigate these setbacks, these shifts and changes, and then how do we stay committed to this vision that we created for ourselves? Because the vision is not something that should be tossed out as these changes happen. It shouldn't be something that we completely rewrite from the beginning. And if you find yourself doing that, talk to me. Let's talk about it, because that means that you haven't gotten to the core of who you are. And so, which is why it's important to understand. And I'll talk about again in here, if you haven't listened to the podcast episode about finding your core values, I encourage you to do that. But let's talk about why this is important, because vision casting is not just a one and done. It's important that we stay persistent and resilient. And I wanted to talk about today, because we've been talking about how to create this vision, but today is going to be about how do we keep it once it's created and once life starts to happen. And so I just want you to have these strategies that we can, overcome setbacks, maintain emotional resilience, that we can stay aligned with our vision in the long run. Like we're in it to win it. We're in it for the long game. We're not in it just for this next couple of weeks. That is a goal. Like we can set a temporary vision for like a project led vision, but overall, when it comes to our vision, it's for the long run. So the first thing I want to do is I want to define resiliency. Okay, because the idea of resiliency and grit and stick to itness and different ways that we can say that, but it's the ability to withstand, recover, and grow from challenges and setbacks. It's about adapting to change while staying grounded in our purpose, allowing you to move forward with strength and confidence. And so this is something that it's a constant thing that we're working on. Resilience is a muscle. It's something that we get to work towards. And later on, I talk about some ways to create a resilience plan, a resilience plan. I think that's what I called it. Not super creative at the moment, but just go with me. And so what is a setback? Okay, so I had some fun with this because I was like, what are other words for setbacks? And so, because we talk about it and they have such different names, and some of them are stronger than others, and some of them they have negative connotation. And one of the things that I wanted to do is let you know that they're all just setbacks. They're all just an action that changes the course. That whether it's a challenge, a roadblock, a hurdle, a growing pain, a learning opportunity, a learning moment, a course correction, a refining season, which that is one that I use often in my own life. I'm like, okay, this is just a refining season. I get to take these challenges and I get to, you know, buff up some of the edges and prepare myself for something that's coming. Stepping stones, divine redirections, and tests of faith. Like there's a lot of different names, but it all boils down to it's something that happens that you didn't expect. And so one of the things that I wanted you to know from the get-go, from right away, is that the core belief we get to hold in this moment is growth over perfection. Setbacks, roadblocks, hurdles, learning opportunities, they all happen. We don't have to fear them. We can't avoid them. So we need to view them as something other than failure. Like you can't fail at something that you didn't know was going to happen in the first place. And when we shift our perspective on that and we lean into a growth mindset, a growth opportunity here, it enables us to shift the perspective and move forward, and it allows us to keep going. And that's the key through all of this. Resiliency is the ability to withstand, recover, and grow from challenges and setbacks. We keep going. If you stop, that's when it becomes a failure. That's when it becomes, the fixed mindset. And that's when you get stuck. All right. So as long as you keep going, it doesn't matter how much we have to claw our way back. It doesn't matter how slow we go and get back on course. The key is we keep going no matter what. No matter what. Okay. So let's get into the meat of this. Let's talk about some action steps, because one of the things that I have shifted a little bit is there's a whole world of like online coaches and things, and a lot of them talk about mindset. And you listen to them and you realize that they talk about just shifting your perspective, and you just need to think different, and it doesn't actually work. It actually leaves you in a more frustrated position than you were before. And I am not that kind of coach. And I want action steps. I want to know a plan. I want to know, like, what can I do about this? And so what I wanted you to have during this is, first of all, we know that setbacks are going to happen. We have challenges in life. They can vary in intensity. Like, I'm not going to downplay, because there are some challenges that knock you completely off your feet. And then there's some challenges that kind of push you to the side a little bit, but you can just brush off and keep going. So I understand that. And I'm going to talk about them all in general right now, all lumped together, because these steps will work no matter which type, no matter the intensity of the setback. The key is how deep you need to go into into the action steps, how long you need to take, and how much time you need to give yourself to heal or to overcome. Like, this is not something that that a lot of times, if it's just, pushes you to the side a little bit, then you can get to action right away. It is okay if something happens that knocks you off your feet, that knocks your world down, that like makes you turn, 180, that you take some time to figure out what now, but this will help you figure that out. These steps will help you through the process, and you just don't have to rush them. That's my point. Okay. So you don't have to like immediately, okay, let's go into action mode and just push through this. Sometimes that fire that is refining us burns for a long time. And so, okay, so the first one is one that I talk about often, and this is the crux of understanding yourself. Is know your core values and your why. When you know who you are, what you value, and why you do what you do, no matter what happens to you, you'll be able to get back to center quickly. You may not be able to know what steps to take yet. You may not know how to handle the situation, but when you know you and you've reconnected with your core values and your why often, it will help you get back to a place where you're able to make decisions. You're able to see the path that you want to get on, whether you know how to get there or not. So give yourself some grace on knowing like the action steps, but understand who you are. So often before a challenge, in the middle of a challenge, after a challenge, connect with your values and your why. Connect with it often. Put them in front of you, write them down often, like just don't set it and forget it. When you know who you are at your core and why you do what you do, the decisions you make can align with those. And even if it's not the best decision, it's still going to be a good decision. So also consider your core values and your why when it comes to your vision. Now, if you are coming to the Vision Lab, this is something that we are going to do together. I would encourage you to discover your core values. Listen to that podcast. I honestly don't remember which podcast number it was. It was like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago or something. It was on a Thursday. I remember when, but I don't remember the date, and I should have put it in here. So I apologize, but it is really easy to find on anywhere because it's only like 2 or 3 episodes ago. So find your core values. The next is like allow your core values and your why to anchor you during the tough times. We talked about how your vision is kind of like your lighthouse, that, you build the lighthouse before the storm comes, and it gives you that path of where to go, where to seek shelter, and how to become safe. So knowing your core values and your why, and enables you to know how to build that lighthouse. So the next one is what I already alluded to already, is develop a resilience routine. There we go. I knew it wasn't plan. Resilience routine. So we need to work. We need to be resilient. We need to have a strong mind, a strong body, and a strong spirit. So actively taking steps for a strong mind, that growth mindset, take time to journal, mindfulness, the strong body, exercise. When we are healthy, we are able to make better decisions. We have more energy. When we are eating properly and we're fueling our body, we're not drained from the get-go. And then that strong spirit of know what you believe, like connect with God, connect with who God created you to be, and connect with the Holy Spirit, because that will help you become resilient. So that to develop a resiliency routine for yourself. And if this is something you want more information on, I actually started having fun, like what would a resilience routine look like? So I started crafting that, and I might create that and add that as a PDF. Right now I'm focusing on the Vision Lab and getting all that stuff done. I just finished the workbook for it, and it's going to be so much fun. So resilience routine. And this is not a one and done. This is something we need to do daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually. Creating a routine, creating a habit of resilience takes time, and it's not 21 days of it and then bless and release. Like, you've got to commit to it over and over and over. Get to the gym, open that book, write in your journal, and pray. Like, keep doing the things. It doesn't have to be a long routine. It doesn't have to be hours, or it doesn't have to have so many steps that you can't possibly complete it all daily. Keep it simple and just make it 3 things each day. But those 3 things will go a long way to helping you become more and more and more resilient. So the next step is to take your big goals and break them down into manageable and specific steps. Do this before challenges come. I don't know how many times I'll have an idea of what I want, or have a goal, but because I didn't break it down, when it's time for me to actually, like, I have a focus time on my calendar, and I'm like, what should I do? And when challenges come, it's like trying to figure out, okay, how do I get back on the path? Well, if you've already taken those goals and you've broken them down into manageable and specific steps of, if you are trying to, well, like, oh my goodness, I don't know why I'm blanking on this. When there's a bigger goal, let's say cleaning your kitchen or cleaning out the pantry, where it's like, okay, shelf 1, clean out all the flowers, and or then, step 2, go after that one drawer that is, the silverware drawer, and then the junk drawer, and then the utensils drawer. Like, that's what I'm talking about, breaking it down into manageable steps that you can take, and like, okay, I don't know what to do, but I know how to do that. And then the last one is also something I talk about often, is celebrate your small victories and your daily wins. It doesn't matter how small. Our brains love to win. Our brains need to see momentum and action. And we need those wins to keep us motivated, to keep that momentum going. Action begets action. Wins beget wins. And this is something we can pour into ourselves, and we can daily choose that, like, no, this was I did one thing, and that's what I needed to do to get closer to my goal. So celebrate your small victories. So the action steps, really quickly, and they'll be in the show notes as well, is, know your core values and your why. Develop a resilience routine, strong body, strong mind, strong spirit. Take your big goals and break them down into manageable steps, and celebrate the small victories and wins daily. Don't let a day go by without at least acknowledging that one thing you did to win the day. Sometimes it's the fact that you got through the day. You made a phone call. Sometimes it's because, you meal planned. Sometimes it's you cleaned the closet. Whatever it is, celebrate. Sometimes it's you sat and you read a book, or you sat and you spent 15 minutes just talking with your teenager. Like, you get to define what a small victory and a small win is. Just do it daily. All right. So this is another part. This is the last part I wanted to talk about, because for me, this is the area that really helps me change, is identify the potential setbacks early. When I used to get so far into being anxious and overwhelmed and burnout, and then I would realize that something's not right. And so now I understand, what does it look like for me when I start to become overwhelmed, or when I start getting burned out, or when I'm more anxious, when I feel constantly drained, when I question what I'm doing and why, and when I'm busy and yet unfulfilled. This typically leads to we're being misaligned or overcommitted. And so when you recognize your early signs, now your early signs and my early signs are not going to be the same, which is why it's so important that we understand who we are. And this is where a lot of times, like, I go to the Enneagram, truthfully, when to look at what are some of the signs of early burnout. One of the things is I start nitpicking things that don't need to be nitpicked. I start blurting out things to do, just to do this, to myself and to others. I know that I'm towards burnout at that point, but now I can hear myself say it early on. And then the other thing is, like, to prevent it, is schedule regular check-ins with yourself and your friends. So don't do this alone, but I do spend time on typically Monday mornings, and Friday afternoons, where I just sit with myself and say, okay, how did this week go? What do I want for this week? And I start to plan that. And on Mondays I ask myself, where am I going to where am I going to get stressed out this week? What are some of the juggling acts that have to happen in order to make everything come to life? My son he's picked up more hours at work. And so, which means that I'm back to juggling my daughter's work schedule as well. And it's like, okay, how do I fit that in to my normal schedule? And then, but that regular check-ins with myself and some with my girlfriends, it helps me to recognize the overwhelm, the burnout early. And so the next is to listen to feedback from trusted sources, from mentors, peers, even from some clients or customers, because it could reveal these blind spots and areas of improvement. So you can see when they start to be like, hey, have you thought about this? It will allow you to change course or identify the potential setback early. So to prevent this one is seek feedback openly and use it as a tool. So don't take it personally. There's times where I'm like, okay, like talk about the strategy or the actions. Don't talk about who I am doing it. And so even with me, when I hear feedback, because of my inner critic, I do have to separate it of what I do and who I am. And so the other thing is, it's so important that you find trusted sources. If they are not playing the game, if they're not in the arena, if they're not doing something that gets them out of their comfort zone, do not ask them for feedback. If they don't understand any of what you're going through, they're not going to be able to give you the constructive feedback that you're looking for. You're not looking for just what's going on. You want constructive. How can you use this to prevent some setbacks or to avoid, or if you are in a setback, to get out of it quickly? And then assess your goals and your current reality. This is one that I have to keep top of mind. I have some big goals. I have some lofty goals. And for a while, I was constantly falling short of milestones. So a milestone here is what I'm talking about. It's like those taking that big goal and then breaking it down into different milestones. And then from there, breaking it into action steps. But if I was constantly falling short of the milestones, it indicated my expectations and my timelines did not align with my reality. So I needed to adjust them. I needed to lower some of my expectations in some areas and increase them in others, realizing that my time is not only mine, I'm a mom of teenagers who are very active. I volunteer, I am a partner, I have my friends. Like, my time is not just mine. I have priorities and these values that I hold. And so prevention is, be honest with yourself. What is feasible in this season? I talk about how, like, during the summer, I enjoy cooking way more because I have time to actually play in the kitchen. Well, during the fall, I was looking at recipes and I got so excited. And then I was like, oh man, if I'm going to cook like this, then I need to make sure I shift some of my expectations. I can't work until, I can't take a client at 4 p.m. and then expect to have dinner on the stove or on the table by 6. Like, that's not possible because this is more slow cooking, but I can do it earlier in the morning if I wanted to. So what is feasible in the season? What expectations are you able to meet? Now, we can push ourselves a little bit, but understand your current reality. If you were driving your kids back and forth to sports, and what can you get done while you're in the car? Like, that we can work with our reality, but understanding that sitting for hours at your computer may not be feasible when you are on chauffeur duty or Uber duty, right? So be honest with yourself and adjust your goals for the season without feeling discouraged. This is another area when you know your values. I value my family over my work. As much as I know that I was put on earth to do this, to help people create the life that they want and understand themselves throughout it, I was first put here to take care of my 2 teenagers, to to help them and to love them and to show up for their lives. Like that's what I want to remember. So I don't have to feel discouraged that I had to set a little bit more time aside for my business that and set it aside a little bit so I can spend more time with my kids. Like it is okay to do that. And when we're honest with ourselves, then well, we don't have to feel discouraged. It's not a setback. It's a readjustment. It's a realignment. And it's realizing that our strategies and our tactics can change. We can shift how we do things. We just don't shift the outcomes or we stay focused on what we want in the long run. This is why our tactics and even our goals may change a little bit. Our tactics and what is the other word? The strategy. There's the word. Our tactics and strategies can shift and change, but our vision needs to stay steady. And that's by knowing ourselves and knowing our why, we can buy into our vision and understand that these setbacks happen. But when we can identify them, whether it's us feeling burnt out, whether we have the trusted sources pouring into us, or we assess our current reality and see what unrealistic expectations we have set for ourselves, then we can make the adjustments and we can stay steady moving forward. One step forward is still moving forward. You may not be able to sprint in every season, but you can step. And that's the most important thing is we just keep moving. All right. I think we have one more episode of this vision theme. And then oh my goodness, and we're into November and into the holidays. And I can't wait to share with you what I have coming up. Some of the podcast episodes that I've been developing and recording, and just, I enjoy this so much. This helps me because I have to wrestle with things and tease them out a little bit before I can actually talk about them. I try different things. Like I try different routines and what works for me. And so I have so much fun with it. And I'm so thankful that you're here. I'm thankful that you come week after week. And I just want to say thank you. I'm just so grateful for you. So grateful for your time, because our time is our most precious resource. How we choose to spend our time matters. And the fact that you deemed this podcast worthy enough for some of your time is such an honor to me. And I don't take that lightly. I'm grateful for you. And I want you to grow. I want you to step into who God created you to be. I want you to step boldly into your gifts and talents. I want you to know how God wired you. And one of the best ways to do this is to work together to discover it. This vision lab that I have coming up I believe we start on Wednesday. This will help start to open your eyes to what's possible. What is in your heart? What have you not been willing or able to acknowledge that's deep in your knower? What is the impact that you want to make on this world, this legacy that you want to leave? What do you want your kids to say about your life? How do you want to show them what's possible? So if this sounds like something you want, join us in the Vision Lab and we'll bring a friend. The BOGO is still going on, and I can't wait to share with you. The workbook is about done. We're putting the final touches on it. And those of you who've already signed up, thank you. I can't wait to meet you and talk to you and just grow with you and create and have some fun expanding our vision together. But that workbook will be coming very soon to you. My goal is to get out to you by Tuesday through email. But you'll definitely have it by Wednesday morning before the workshop starts, the Vision Lab starts. All right, friend, if this podcast has spoken to you at all, please consider leaving me a rating and review. It's so important. It helps the algorithm to recommend this podcast to others. It helps me to know what you like and what's resonating. And it warms my heart because I do this as an act of service, and it helps me see that it matters to you. So if you wouldn't mind leaving me a rating and review, and then also share this podcast with a friend. Like, sharing is caring. My goal is to take this top 2% podcast over the next year, and I want to make it a top 1% podcast. And so I can only do that with your help. So if you have a friend who you know would benefit from learning about vision, learning about ways to help our lives and really step into who God created us to be, created her to be, him to be, this podcast is going to give you those actionable steps, and it's going to give you that encouragement, and hopefully it inspires you to take those actions. And I just love that I get to be part of that journey, and I get to guide you on it and help you see how amazing you are. So please consider sharing this podcast episode or the podcast in general, and it just would mean so much to me. All right, with that, friend, choose joy until joy chooses you. And I will see you soon. All right. Bye for now.